Hello, 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 hello. It is A'Tondra Vinchealle, the keeper of the Mermaid's wisdom. And if this is your first time catching me on a live broadcast or first time interacting with me, I am A'Tondra Vinchealle. I am the founder of the Mermaid's Wisdom, where I open and create space for women to reclaim their time and their bodies through understanding who they are in their feminine essence. And so that is who I am. That is what I do. So thank you so much. If this is your first time joining me, say hi. Let me know who you are, where you are watching from. If this is not your first time joining me, still say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. Hey there, Miss Nifa. Hey there, Medina. How are you? Hey, Princess. So I had some reluctance about doing this live today. Because yesterday, if you caught the live that I did yesterday, it was all about whether or not, it was about a question that I had received from somebody on a different post about whether or not we should be eating according to our blood types. If you're not familiar with me, then you may or may not know that I am also the founder and the owner of A Stronger You Fitness, Health, and Wellness, where I do fitness coaching and nutrition coaching and things of that nature. And I help busy people fit their fitness, health, and wellness into their busy lifestyles. And so that's where a lot of my foundation comes from. That's my first major business, and that's the one that I'm known for more than the Mermaid's Wisdom, because the Mermaid's Wisdom is actually fairly new. And so I received a question a few days ago about, or asking whether or not we should be eating according to our blood types. And so I did a live feed yesterday answering that question and discussing what asking a question like that means from an energetic perspective, and how we do one thing is how we do everything, and how just the mere fact that you would need to ask a question like that when it comes to your weight loss or skincare and things of that nature, exactly what that means energetically. And so if you didn't catch that live from yesterday, it's available on my page, so you may want to go ahead and watch it. But essentially what I said is when you ask questions like, should I go on this diet? Should I eat like this? Should I eat like that? Essentially what you're doing is you're asking, how much more do I need to restrict myself in order to be able to achieve the goal that I want? And I talked about how, from an energetic perspective, because how we do one thing is how we do everything, I talked about how if you are talking about the way that you're eating and your diet and things of that nature, and you're talking about restriction, and you're telling yourself that in order to achieve your goals, you need to restrict yourself in some way, then what that means energetically is that in other areas of your life, you have to ask yourself, what are the other areas in my life where I believe that I have to restrict myself in order to be able to achieve my goals? And so I did that live yesterday, and then I received a question or a comment really, and what was said was, it sounded really good, and it makes sense on some levels. However, I don't really see the practicality in that. And it almost sounds as if what you're saying is that you can do whatever you want, you can eat whatever you want, you can, have all the crap, as long as you try to outbalance the crappy stuff with the good stuff, then everything works out. And so, because of where the comment came from, I almost didn't do this live, because if you've ever been in a situation where you, hey there, Nicole, how are you? If you've ever been in a situation where certain people will only engage with you when they have something that they disagree with, if you've ever been in that situation, throw up some hearts or say yes or some thumbs up and say, yeah, I know what you're talking about, so that I know that I'm not the only person. But if you've ever been in a situation where you have certain people that only engage with you when they feel like they have something that they disagree with, it's kind of hard. It's kind of difficult. At least for me, it's a bit of a challenge to really take what it is that they're saying and to really absorb what it is that they're saying, because you have to ask this question like, okay, is this really a legitimate question, or is just another one of those situations where you just want to sit here and argue with me, or another one of those situations where you feel like, oh yeah, I can point to the one thing that A'Tondra said that was wrong and I'm just going to eat her up all about that. And so it takes hey there, Christy, how are you, sister? It takes a certain level of maturity and insight, and of you being comfortable with yourself to look at a situation like that and say, okay, yes, this is the situation, and yes, this is the dynamic that I have with this particular person, but even in that dynamic, there's something valuable. There's something that's there for me, right? So Mama Namaste always says, you're always looking for the yes and, right? Like, yes, this may be a little bit antagonistic because of the spirit of where it's coming from, and there's some potential for some clarification with regard to what I was saying. And so that was one of the difficulties. The other difficulty or challenge is that, so I guess I'm just going to be completely transparent and completely honest, is that the majority of my audience is not used to seeing me in this space. And this is, and when I say this space, I mean the space of talking about things from a deeper, more alchemic, more energetic perspective, as opposed to so much of a scientific perspective. So again, if you're not familiar with me, as far as my educational background is concerned, I have a bachelor's degree in biological and physical sciences, where I purposefully self-directed my studies in biochemistry and human metabolism. I have several certifications in nutrition and wellness and body assessment, body contouring, all of the science, all of that, all of the technical things that people look for when they're looking on your LinkedIn page and they're looking on your resume. I have all of those things. And what has been my reality is, what my audience is used to seeing is, they are used to seeing the A'Tondra that is listed on my LinkedIn profile, where you see all of my education, you see all of my certifications, you see all of the research projects, you see my published papers. So you see all of those academic aspects of who I am. And so what I have shown my audience is the A'Tondra that's listed on my LinkedIn page. And what I have kept for myself and for my family and for the people who are really, really, really close to me, personally and energetically, is what it is that you're seeing now. If that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. And if you've ever watched my videos, one of the things I really, really like to do before I get into the meat of the subject is I like to give a very, very strong foundation of what the content is built upon and what I'm about to say, right? Like, I've had some people that are like, oh, A'Tondra, why don't you just freaking get to the point? Yeah, I mean, I can just get to the point, right? But it's almost like, when you're having sex and you're laying there and you're just like, oh my God, why don't you just make me come already? Like, dude, like, can you be patient and get some foreplay? Like, for real, like, let's chill out with that, right? How you do one thing is how you do everything. So, hey there, John David. How are you? Thank you for joining me this evening. So I want to just give you an idea of where this is coming from. And so the other challenge of doing this live, because I'm not used to sharing this part of myself publicly, was the fear of judgment, right? The fear of not being known well enough in this kind of space to have these kinds of conversations, if that makes sense, right? So that whole fear of, where does she come off coming from, you know, ASU Fit, the girl with all the degrees and this, and this, and now all of a sudden she's frou-frou la, and, you know, she's talking about energy and she's talking about that. And what a lot of people don't realize is, one of the reasons why I have been so successful in my practice with my clients is because of this part of me that I have always kept to myself, that I didn't share, that's not shown on my resume, right? So, and there's a whole lot of other conversation with regard to that. So anyway, those were the challenges that I had in coming back and offering the clarification for this live post. And it was something that bothered me it was on my mind all night. And what I'm about to tell you, like, it just kept repeating itself in my head all night and all day. And finally I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to come out here. I'll do the live. I'll give the clarification. So let me be very clear. Yesterday, when we talked about asking that question, should I be eating according to my blood type? I gave several examples of different kinds of dietary programs that people will consider. Okay. And I gave a couple of reasons as to why people look for those kinds of things. Right? I said two things. Number one, people are looking for the quick and easy answer, right? Because they're not really ready to take the responsibility for the commitment and the consistency that is necessary for you to really make those changes in your lifestyle that you want to make. Because in doing so, this is something that you have to be consistent with over an extended period of time. And a lot of people are not interested in the extended period of time part. Right? They're interested in the results, and for a short period of time, they're interested in doing the things. So they're interested in the checklist that's associated with that kind of eating, with that kind of ordered eating. But what they're not interested in is the fact that this is something that has to be done over an extended period of time. And so they start looking at, okay, well, if I do this diet, it'll come off really, really quickly. And if I just work really, really hard, focus for this short period amount of time, it'll be off and I'll never have to do this again. If I do keto, if I go vegan, if I do this one thing, and I just restrict myself and go hard or go home for this very, very, very short focus period of time, then I'll never have to do it again. Right. And then there's the issue with people who are self-diagnosing themselves. I went into this in a lot more detail in the live that I did the other day, that I did yesterday. So I'm not really going to get into it today. I just want to give you, for those who may be watching this for the first time, where this is coming from. Here's what I want to say. Restriction is not the same as release. I'm going to say that again. Restriction, okay, is not the same as release. And so you must understand that yesterday, what I said was, when you are asking, and again, remember, disclaimer, I am speaking in the context of people who do not have a diagnosed metabolic disorder. If you have a diagnosed metabolic disorder, then we need to have a different kind of conversation. Okay? So this information may be helpful to you, but majority of the people who are in my audience and the majority of the people who watch my content and the majority of people who ask me these kinds of questions are people who do not have a medically diagnosed metabolic disorder. So I'm just going to leave that disclaimer. Okay. When you ask, should I eat according to my blood type? Okay. Which in a way is a very restrictive kind of eating. Should I go keto, which again is a very restrictive kind of eating? Should I do the whole foods? Should I follow the Sebi methodology? Again, all of these are very restrictive types of eating programs. All of these are based around what you cannot have. Okay? They are all based on a foundation of restriction. Okay. And what I said yesterday is that when you're asking that, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So when you're asking those kinds of questions and you do not have a diagnosed metabolic disorder, essentially what you are saying is, how much do I need to restrict myself in order for me to achieve the goal that I want? And the challenge with restriction is that restriction is not sustainable. Restriction is not sustainable. Okay? So understand what we're talking about. There's a difference between restriction and release. Okay? So we're going to get to the release party here in a minute, but I want you to understand really what restriction is. Restriction, okay? I can't have that. I can't have that. You can't eat this. You can't eat that. You can't go here. You can't do this. I can't eat this. I can't. It is not sustainable because most restrictive types of methodologies and ideologies and programs do not fit within the ecology of your lifestyle. Okay? So what you are saying is, how much do I need to go against the ecology of my lifestyle to get what it is that I want? And if how you do one thing is how you do everything, then energetically, that is what you are calling into your life. You are saying, okay, universe, in order for me to, and we'll use this word, up level, every time it's time for me to up level in my health, in my relationships, in my finances, in my goals, in my education, every time it's time for me to up level, what I want you to do is I want you to create a situation for me that causes me to go against the ecology of the lifestyle that I'm currently living. And the problem with that is that it causes so much stress and anxiety. If you've ever met somebody who is on a highly restrictive diet and you have seen them in a social situation, a lot of times it is one of the most unnerving and stressful things to see, because there are all kinds of things that are being served. And it may be a situation where not everything that's being served is considered unhealthy, but because they're in a program that's so restrictive, they can't have it. And so you look at the look on their faces and you can see the anxiety and almost just this sadness. And then what happens is, because they don't want to feel that in those social situations, then that's where you get the people who don't socialize at all. They don't accept any invitations. They don't come to the weddings. They don't come to the birthday parties. They don't come to the celebrations. They don't come to the girls' night out events. They don't go anywhere. Because what they are doing at the time is so restrictive. And it goes against the ecology. Hey there, Stefana. It goes against the ecology of their current lifestyle, which is why when they are no longer under that restriction, watch this. How you do one thing is how you do everything. How you do one thing is how you do everything. When they are no longer under that restriction, as soon as the program is over, they go buck wild. If you have ever met somebody who grew up in a very sexually repressed type of situation, whether it was because of the school that they went to or the culture that they had in their household or their religious obligations. And if you meet people, and what happens sometimes is when they are removed from that restriction, they go buck wild and they engage in what can be seen as very it can be seen as very dangerous behavior, right? So you meet somebody who's off of a diet, and then all of a sudden they've got all kinds of burgers and chips and fries and shakes, and they're eating everything all at the same time. Do you understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? How you do one thing is how you do everything. How you do one thing is how you do everything. That is why sometimes people who choose to financially restrict themselves, okay, you place yourself under these kinds of financial restrictions for this short period of time, and then all of a sudden they go crazy with their money, and they become what looks to be financially irresponsible with their money. Now they're just spending money everywhere because they have been so restricted. Do you understand what I'm saying? How you do one thing is how you do everything. So when you ask that question, you're asking yourself, you're asking for the energy of restriction to be brought into your life experience. Okay? Now, the comment that I received was, well, A'Tondra, because what I said yesterday is, as you begin to get, instead of saying, where can I restrict myself? What you should be saying is, what can I find to help support me to get to where I want to go? And so when we were talking about nutrition, I was like, the foundation typically of most weight issues and the foundation typically of most skin issues is the fact that there are nutrients that are missing in the body. And so there are areas in the body that are not being supported. They're parts of your metabolism and your physiological functions that are not properly being supported. And so before you engage in any type of program, blessings. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you so much for watching from Australia. I really appreciate that. So before you begin to look at any program, you have to begin to ask yourself, where is it that I need to be supported? When I work with my clients, one of the very first things that we do before we do anything is we address those areas, okay, in their nutrition, in their metabolism, where they need to be supported. Because what I said yesterday was that if you don't address what needs to be supported, then it doesn't matter what diet, okay, what program I give you, or what program. It doesn't matter if I say yes, go do it, or no, go do it, right? Whether it's my program or somebody else's, it doesn't matter, because you can take everything away, but if you're not giving what needs to be supported, you understand? Eventually you're going to hit a wall and nothing is going to function properly. Right? That's like, thank you, baby. Thank you. That's okay. Thank you. Yeah. That's like if I take my car in and let's say you bought cheap gas, okay, because there's some gas stations that don't have high quality gas, right? The gas is just not high quality. right? And so when you put gas in the car that's not high quality, it causes issues sometimes with the engine. It causes issues with all kinds of parts of the vehicle. And so what happens is you take your car in and they flush out all the fluids. Okay, so they do this engine flush and they do this oil change. And one of the things that they have to do is they have to remove all of the fluids, right? Okay, so you can remove all of the fluids. All right, cool. But what happens when you don't put any of them back in? I'll wait. Somebody answer that for me, right? You remove all the bad stuff. You do the whole engine flush. You take out the sludge. You take out all that stuff, right? But what happens if you don't put anything back in? Somebody answer that question for me, and then I'll move forward. If you take away all the bad stuff, okay? You take away all the bad stuff, and you don't put anything else back in, what happens? If I go remove the cheap gas from my car and the cheap oil from my car, and I tell them, drain my vehicle of all those negative fluids, all those sludgy fluids, all those high fructose corn syrup fluids, all those processed fluid. If I tell my mechanic, go remove all the fluids from the car, but I don't put anything back in, what is going to happen? Is my car going to run? Yes or no? You've drained all the fluids from the car. Is the car going to run? Yes or no? Yeah, this one is going to be a little bit more interactive. No. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? So you can take away all the things and you can do all the restriction. But if you're not replenishing what was taken out with what it is that is necessary to support the proper function, the vehicle doesn't run. Okay? What I was saying yesterday was that instead of looking at what you can restrict and what you can take away, the first thing you need to look at is how can you be supported? What is it that needs to be supported? Now, the comment was, okay, well then, A'Tondra, what you're saying is you're basically telling people that they can eat as much crap as they want to eat as long as they take their vitamins. Y'all got to forgive me because you don't even know how hard, how much of a challenge it was for me to even overcome all of that and just, I'm learning to restrict my days of distributing the business to people who don't really know how to properly communicate. And so here's the clarification that I wanted to offer. There is a huge distinction. Thank you. There is a huge distinction between restriction and release. And the distinction is in the mindset that is associated with both of those terms. Okay? Let me give you an example. Follow me. Okay? As I begin to do more of this deep healing work with myself, okay? Because as above, so below, as within, so without, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Okay. I'm going to tell you the way things work for me. Okay. I have always been one of those people that when I begin a work to do something, to learn something, or to do something, in the beginning, there is difficulty. The difficulty only lasts for a short period of time, but it's extremely difficult. But what happens with me is that when I get past that difficulty, everything starts to click. Everything. It all clicks. All of it. And what happens is it clicks so quickly that it's almost unreal. Okay. It's how I was in academia. It's one of the reasons why I was able to publish a paper as a sophomore, in college. It's how I was in college. And the unfortunate part of that, or the challenge with that, is I would take advantage of that because it tends to make me feel like I can procrastinate to the last minute, because I know that the way things work for me is that once I get through that little bit of difficulty, everything pop. Like it's almost unreal. Like I will take exams and you will think that I cheated. Like literally that's how it works for me. And so with a lot of this kind of work, what happens is in the beginning, I experience a lot of challenge and a lot of difficulty. And then as soon as I push past that, it all comes together and everything integrates to the point to where it's unreal. Which is one of the reasons why many times I shy away from doing the healing work, because what happens is when I ask the question and I say, what is here for me? What needs to come up? What needs to be healed? Everything hits me at the same time. It hits me physically. It hits me emotionally. It hits me. And when it comes through like you asked for it. Woo! And it hits me. And so in this latest iteration, I developed a practice in working with, hey Lanisha, in working with calendula and the tiger's eye yoni egg. That's something that I may share at a later time. I have not yet been released to share that. It was something that spirit gave to me. And I'm going to say that was for me and the work that I needed to do with the calendula herb and with the tiger's eye yoni egg. But what happened when I did that work is that everything hit. I got headaches. I got tired. My blood pressure immediately went up. Okay? Watch this. Just stay with me and follow me. Okay? My blood pressure went up. All of these are physical signs of all of the things that were coming up for me and things that needed to be healed and all of those kinds of things. And my soft sisters who may watch this, I've spoken about some of that in some of our groups. So you may have a more intimate understanding of what it is that I'm talking about right now. So here's what happens. Okay. Blood pressure. All right. So with blood pressure, what this means for me is that I need to be cognizant of my sodium intake as I am going through this process. Okay? Now watch this. There are two different ways that I can do this. No salt, no salt, no salt. You can't have salt. You can't have anything that has salt. You can't have anything that has sodium. You can't have. I'm going on a low sodium diet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to restrict myself. I'm going to restrict myself from anything that I believe could potentially have high sodium content. Okay? Or what I choose to do is I can release the idea that the food that I desire has to have high levels of salt in it. And I can open myself to the idea of trying new recipes, of trying new things, of trying new snacks, of trying new foods. And so what I do is I release myself from this pressure of being restrictive. I release myself from this idea that I have done something wrong because my blood pressure went up, and I open myself, okay? I open to any new opportunities that may be made available to me. So let me tell you what happened here in our home. We have a son who's vegan. And so my husband, the other night made some navy bean soup. Oh my God, my husband makes the absolute best navy bean soup ever, 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 ever. And so what he did was he made 2 different pots. Okay. He made 2 different pots. One of the pots had turkey meat in it, and the other pot did not have any meat in it. Okay, so watch this. Okay, because as I am learning and teaching, understand that these are things that I am also still working with myself. Okay, so as I'm going through this experience and as I'm going through this healing, and everything is coming up for me at once, and everything is hitting me at the same time, I immediately said, no meat. A'Tondra, you are going to go on a no meat diet. Okay? We're not going to eat the flesh of the animal, because we will not ingest the energetic of the animal that was killed on the farm for your nourishment. You shall not eat the flesh of thine turkey. Okay? Okay. My husband is over there laughing at me like I'm a mess. So what happened was I went to the pot of the beans that did not have any meat. It just so happened that when I tasted those beans, they were a little bit more salty. Now watch this. Watch this, okay? Because remember when I told you yesterday, remember when I was giving you the practice on like how to find out what foods support you and what foods don't support you? And I told you that if we sit down and we take our time with our food, that a lot of times our body, or all the time, our bodies will tell us immediately whether or not that serves us. But because we're so used to eating so quickly, we don't listen to the signs. Okay, watch this. When I tasted it, okay, immediately I could taste that particular pot had more sodium than what was needed to serve me at this time. I've tasted those same kinds of beans before, and it's never been an issue. But today when I did it, my tongue told me, A'Tondra, you know what? Maybe we should do something different. And I said in my thinky thoughts with my brain, because, my mind is just, all of these degrees, my mind is just so superior to my intuition and so superior to what my body is telling me, right? Like I am a degreed professional, and it's all kinds of goodness, all kinds of books, all up in this brain right here. Okay. So in my mind, I said, well, that other pot has meat in it. That other pot's got meat. We are to not eat of the flesh of the turkey. We shall not eat of the flesh of the turkey. And I took another bite, and my tongue said, look, girl, I just, don't really want to tell you what to do. I can't force you to do anything, but I don't think this is right for us right now. I don't think this is how we need to be served right now. Okay? And the way spirit works, because literally your intuition is literally just the divine that is with you. It's literally an expression of the divine. And the divine is whoever you see that as, whether you say God, whether you say Allah, whether you say divine source, it is that divine essence manifest within you. And it's such a gentleman, as Mama Namaste says, that the divine will not force you to do anything. So after that third time, it was like, okay, I guess we're doing this. What happened? Literally, I got halfway through the bowl and I could already feel in my head. I could already feel the tension in my head. By the time I got through with the bowl, I felt completely lethargic. I went to check my blood pressure, and where my blood pressure had dropped significantly after my Yoni tea meditation, it had actually raised after I had eaten that pot of beans. Hey, Felicia. It had actually raised after I had eaten that pot of beans. Okay? This is restriction. This is, you know what? I will not eat the turkey. I will not eat of that. I have decided that I do not eat meat, and in this time I'm not going to eat any meat, and that pot of beans has turkey in it, and I don't care if this pot right here tastes too salty right now. I said I wasn't going to eat any meat. I'm not eating any meat. This is what I'm doing right now. This is restriction. Okay? I was down. Babe, how many hours was I down after that this morning?
All morning.
Yeah. I was down practically for the remainder or for the majority of the day. Okay? Because of that. I literally had to go get in my bed, cut all the lights out. I had water. My husband, he had me take some apple cider vinegar, and I went to go lay down. Okay? I was down. That is restriction. When I woke up, I was hungry. Okay? Now, what do we have cooked? We have 2 different pots of navy bean soup. Okay? I don't feel like cooking anything else. Okay? And we have plenty of both. This is what is available. What am I going to do? Am I going to restrict myself and say, you know what? That pot that didn't have meat had too much sodium in it, but the other pot does have meat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just not going to eat. Or can I release myself and say, okay, baby girl. What are you feeling right now? I'm hungry. Okay. What's going to support you right now? I want some food. Okay. What is available? Well, got the pot that doesn't have the meat. Got the pot that does have the meat. Okay. Why don't we try the pot that's got the meat? Let's see what happens. And I kid you not, it just so happened that the pot of beans that had the meat in it had far less sodium in it, at least according to my taste buds, according to what my body needed to be supported and to be nourished. Listen to what I'm saying. According to what my body needed, according to what I needed to be supported. Now, what you need to be supported may be different. What my son needs to be supported may be different. What my daughter needs to be supported may be different. But what I need to be supported right now in this moment, it had far less sodium. And I ate it. I was nourished. I was energized. I felt good. I was satisfied. And I felt supported because I released this idea that in order for me to be nourished through the situation, that it has to be done in one particular way. And I opened up myself to the possibility. That maybe there are so many other things that are available here to support me. So understand that when I say find the place where you need to be supported, what that does is it allows you to open. And it allows you to become expansive. And it allows you to say, you know what? I don't know how I need to be supported right now. And so I'm open to whatever the universe is providing for me to be supported. For those of you who are in business, have you ever worked with a client who had so many guidelines that they were restrictive? For this may be more for healers or for artists in particular. So decorators, designers, producers, chefs, people who are in those kinds of arts. Have you ever worked with a client who had so many stipulations about what they weren't going to do that it restricted your ability to be able to serve them? Okay, Nicole says yes. Okay, if you've ever worked with someone or you're inviting them to dinner and they like, I don't want to eat that. 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 I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. No, I don't like doing that. Okay, well, what do you want to do tonight? I don't know. I don't want to, I don't know what I want to do. Well, why don't we go do karaoke? Oh, no, girl, I don't do karaoke. I don't sing out loud. Okay, well, why don't we go to the mall? Who goes to the mall and walks around anymore? Well, why don't we go get pedicures? Girl, I ain't got time for them sitting up there playing and scratching on my feet, talking about ching chong, ching chong, ching chong. This was like actually a real conversation, like for real. And so what happens is this person becomes so restrictive because there's so many things that they won't do. There's so many things that they won't do. One of the things that I enjoy doing is, so the first 9 years of my childhood, I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria. And as a result of that, my palate is so expansive. I will try any kind of restaurant. I don't care what country it is from. And one of the things that is a challenge for me is hanging out with people who are restrictive in their palate. They're like, ooh, I don't eat. You want some pho? I don't eat that. You want some fufu? I don't eat that. I don't eat that. I don't eat that. Okay, well, girl, why don't you just go eat you a cardboard box and call me in the morning? Hello. And then they see me on Facebook and they'll see like me taking pictures and they'll be like, well, girl, why didn't you call me? Because I don't want to deal with you and your cardboard box palette. Right? It limits your ability to serve. And then you meet people. I have always been the type of person in my business where I would tell people, no, I don't want to work with you. Like I'll just be like, because I have done consultations with people and I will ask questions, because everything that I've ever done in working with my clients is I have always done my absolute best to work within the ecology of their lifestyles. Okay. And so I have had clients where it's like, I can't work out in the morning and I can't work out in the afternoon and I can't work out in the evening. And well, what about this? Well, what about on your way to work? Well, no, I can't do that. Well, what about when you're on the, can you do this when you're on the train? No, I can't do that because I have to do this. Well, what about, okay, well, can you add just a few more green vegetables? I don't eat green vegetables. I don't even eat anything green. I had a lady tell me one time when we were talking about water, she was like, yeah, the doctor told me I was going to have problems. She was like, cause I don't drink liquids. I was like, what? She was like, I don't drink liquids, period. I was like, so you eat food and you don't drink? I don't drink liquids. And I'm not drinking no liquids. Who says that? Like, where did you get this from? Like, who wakes up and is like, I think I'm going to be the person who drinks no liquids? Like, what is wrong with you? Well, ooh, I don't like that. Ooh, I don't want to touch that. Ooh, I don't want to go there. Ooh, I don't want to, and I don't want to, see, I don't like that. I don't like to walk. I don't like to do that. Okay, well, if you don't like to do anything, honey, then you must like being exactly where you are. Why did you call me? And so, you remember, as above, so is below. How you do one thing is how you do everything. You have to understand that the universe, source, the divine, Allah, God is not. You understand? Okay, let me say this, okay? Okay. Hold on. Okay. The divine source is not going to force feed you abundance. Okay? So the divine is not going to say, take this abundance. You know, you're going to take this abundance and you going to like it. Like, like nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to do that. Let me go ahead and say this. Some of y'all single now because you think somebody going to force feed you some love. I don't know where it came from. I do know where it came from, but I said it. Some of you are single now because you think somebody's going to force feed you some love. Don't open a door for me. I can open the door by myself. Don't open the car door for me. I can open the car door by myself. I don't need you opening doors. I don't need you doing nothing. Don't look at me. Don't compliment me. Hey, beautiful. What you looking at? Thirsty? Why I gotta be? Don't be calling me beautiful. Don't be asking me for my number. Don't be da-da-da-da. Don't be doing this. But girl, if he really wants you, he'll come get you. And then if he come get you, you're gonna be like, he tried to rape me. Ma'am. Nobody's doing all that. Nobody's doing all that. So when you release, instead of being restricted, you see this? My hand is restrictive. Do you see that nothing's coming out, but nothing can get in? Nothing can get in. Now watch this, okay? You see this? Nothing can get in. And the only way for something to get in is for me to force it in. Why? Okay? Nothing can get in because I'm restricting myself. But if I release, and my hand is open, and that means I am open. And that means that I'm open to receive. I'm open to receive new experiences. I'm open to receiving new types of support in areas where I need to be supported. I'm open to receive support. Listen to what I am saying. When I release, I am open to being supported. In ways that I've never been supported before. So if we go back to, should I be eating according to my blood type? Or should I be eating according to whatever this structured form of eating is? When you open yourself to being supported, watch this, okay? One of the easiest ways for most people to support themselves nutritionally is simply by adding an additional serving of green vegetables. That is one of the easiest ways. It is one of the absolute easiest ways to offer that additional nutritional support. Do you understand? That additional nutritional support to your physiological process. It is so easy to do. But when you say things like, I don't like broccoli, I don't like kale, I don't like lettuce, I don't eat green beans, I don't eat that, I don't like that. Instead of saying what you won't do and what you don't like, why don't you open up yourself and say, I wonder how I can make eating this, and this pleasurable for me. Because what happens is when you open up yourself and you release this idea of what you do and what you don't do, or what you eat and what you don't eat, then what happens is so much room is being taken up by the things that are supporting you that you don't have much room for the things that are not supporting you. That's what I was saying yesterday. It wasn't that I was saying that, yes, you can eat all the crap in the world and you could just all day as long as you take your vitamins. That's not what I was saying. What I was saying was, if you open up yourself to the idea of being supported in ways that you are not used to being supported, so much of that room will be taken up by the things that support you that you will have less room for the things that don't support you. And this is the reason why your taste will change. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? That's what I'm saying. So I don't want anybody to walk away with the idea that I'm saying that you can just, stuff your body with garbage as long as you take your vitamins. That's not what it's about. And even thinking that, even to think that or to say that, is a very restrictive kind of mindset. That's even a restrictive kind of mindset. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. This idea between restriction and release. Okay, Stefana says I didn't hear that at all yesterday. Okay. All right. So that's the difference. You spend so much energy and so much time supporting yourself. Remember, how you do one thing is how you do everything. This works for all areas of your life. Okay? And if you spend your time supporting yourself, then you'll have more of what supports you and less room for what doesn't support you, and then eventually your taste will change. That makes sense? So I know that was long, but I hope that it was helpful. I really do. I hope that it was helpful because, like I said, like I told you all yesterday, I really, really, really appreciate your time and your attention. And I never want to leave anybody confused or misled in any way. And so if I had done that yesterday, I really, really, truly apologize from the bottom of my heart, because that's not what it's not what I meant to do. So hopefully this provided some clarification with regard to that. So thank you all so much for your time and your attention. If this was helpful to you, and if you know people that this may be helpful to, please have them, please share this video. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. If this was helpful, please share this video. I am setting up some things for my private group, which is the Mermaid's Lair. And so, you know, I do broadcast on my public page, but I'm actually putting together a series I haven't released yet that's going to be specifically for the Sisters of the Mermaid's Lair. And again, this is what I want to be. Is I want to be like your big sister in your quest towards total feminine wellness. I've come from the other side in being an ex-bodybuilder and just that really, really masculine form of wellness. And I am guiding myself and would like to take anybody else along with me who wants to come in this road towards what it means to be totally well, really from a feminine perspective. And so if you are interested in that, I want you to go to my website at www.themermaidswisdom.com/sister group, and just read about what the Mermaid's Lair is about and what we're going to be doing. Again, like I said, this is very, very new for me. The group is very, very new, and I have not yet released the series, but when I'm released to do so, it will only be released in that group, and I think it's going to be a beautiful thing. So it's www.themermaidswisdom.com, so the mermaids with an S, www.themermaidswisdom.com/sister group, and check it out. And if you're interested, then go ahead and join us. And again, if this video helped you, please like and share it. I really, really, really appreciate your time and your attention. So I'm going to hop off for now. I thank you so much for your time and your attention. I love you all, and I wish you all of the peace and the joy and the passion and the pleasure and the flow that that you can accept into your life. So I love you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.